Very interesting question. Yeah, I can tell you about two examples, true story, live examples. One was at the early stage of my consultancy when I came back from Mumbai after my, finishing the term with the Ginger as MD and CEO of Roots Corporation. Came back and I started this, and my whole interest was actually to build a management operator company with a brand. Because you see, in TAJ you also learn to be creative, innovative, and that's the norm over the last 10 decades of my career. The final 10 decades, the world was talking about innovation, creativity, imagination, reimagination, and design-centric hotels and all that stuff. So I said, okay, let me now have the freedom to do something like that. So my partner initially earlier was Rishad Minocha, was equally creative, influential hospitality man from Bangalore. So between the two of us, we decided to go ahead and got this assignment, which was a warm shell, and convert that into a 40-room smart city hotel near the airport. So we could that was the whole thing about consultancy. You had the freedom to do, you're the boss, you had the freedom to experiment and design and think and create, even sometimes wild, on how this hotel should be. So we learned from my own learning and the idea of what India needs in terms of smart city business hotels in every city, 100 cities of India. I said, okay, let me experiment this hotel. So we went ahead and said, okay, first of all, whatever money cost, capital investment in terms of project cost that goes into this hotel, you have to recover that money, that investment within a period of 5 years, number one. Number two, it should be tailor-made for a specific target audience, that is the airport users. That means all business executives. Though even those, we discovered that there are a lot of passengers and potential guests who come the previous day and stay over because they are catching the international flights. So we had the target audience very clear. So therefore you can actually, you know whom you are going to serve, you know who your customer is. Third point is, we said, okay, we will be very limited to what this hotel is capable of doing on a consistent basis for a period of time. So we were not over ambitious. We said, okay, let it be like a typical European bed and breakfast hotel. So that was the fourth point. The fifth is, it has to be contemporary, minimalistic, and smart. Smart in terms, so we used heavy depends on technology, heavy depends on the concept of a ratio of 1:0.5 in terms of ratio, employees. Therefore, it has to, and also the policies and philosophies that constitute the guideline for the staff. So we were very clear, and did not hesitate to say no. This is the concept, and this is what you can expect, and this is what we will deliver 100%. So the positioning was very clear. The fourth point was also, relationship. How do we started actually marketing this hotel, talking about this hotel to a whole lot of media and international airport, touch points of airport representatives and airlines and all that, and then invited them to visit this, and also got and incorporated what we call user feedback. So what are the pain points? We actually incorporated those user feedback into the rooms, made sure that they're acoustic proof, because in the night they want to have a sound sleep. Early morning at 6 o'clock the breakfast must start. And what's the kind of breakfast? We talked about smart breakfast. So breakfast that actually would be ethnic, at the same time it also will have an international flavor. Then we decided that, the staff should be all seamless, so everybody can do every work. Then the other most important point was that we also outsourced all the functions which could be outsourceable. It could be finance management, all the back-end managements, engineering, security, housekeeping, and even the kitchen. The catering part also was outsourced to a caterer. So it became a revolutionary concept, though it of course is prevalent in all over the world, in the developed world. But in India, actually translating this into reality takes a lot of gutsy decisions, and a certain daring. And because I was an operator, hotel manager myself, I knew that I would be able to do this for a 40-room hotel and experiment. An experiment we did, and from day one, the guests were so delighted, thrilled, because it was unobtrusive, seamless, easily, what do you call that, check-in, check-out kind of processes and facilities, and you leave all these guests to themselves. They only want to have a comfortable room. They want to be efficiency should be more than a service. This personalized service, more of efficiency, right? So they will help themselves. You see, the two important points are check-in and check-out, especially the check-out part, the billing processes, all that were done, sensitizing the hectic, time-poor nature of guests who come and stay with us. So it became a runaway success in about 2 months' time. Hit 70% occupancy, and the owners, so all the stakeholders are happy. The owners are happy. We were paying back the interest. We were paying back all the bills. The staff were happy, very excited, because they were about just 0.5 means, the 40 means to 18 to 20 people. They were all together as a team. They were learning all the skills, right? And the Purple Cloud name, became a very sexy, appealing name, unique name. And we also created rooms that are exclusively meant for lady travelers. Security, safety, hygiene, eco-friendliness, environmental sensitivity, all that were primary examples for this. So this was a small hotel, but it actually created a sensation in the among the users that were in the Bangalore International Airport, and also affordable pricing. We ensured that even though the occupancy was picked up at around 70%, we had dynamic pricing. So we could actually even sell the rooms twice, during a 24-hour period, right? Turnaround time was much less. So all the different techniques of smart city business hotel management were applied in this particular hotel. The other example was about another warm shell project in the industrial business park in Bangalore, owned by a famous Bollywood actor. They were stuck. So his finance manager approached us and said, listen, the banks are not accepting our proposal for a detailed project report, because they feel that there are a lot of filters the bank were employing post-COVID for the hospitality industry. In fact, financial institutions are very reluctant to give loans and term loans and funding support to the hospitality industry, especially the hotels, because they are high risk, volatile, long gestation period, capital intensive businesses, right? So we worked on this and understood, we do what we call the SWOT analysis. What is the, where is it that, and also kind of understand what are the expectations of a financial institution. So we tweaked it, remodeled it, because it has to actually be there is a tendency for many hoteliers, owners and builders and investors today to look at every hotel project as a 5-star, 4-star. You don't necessarily have to be. The whole world is changing, exactly like European trend and American trend. Hotels are now becoming more of lodging spaces with bed and breakfast, all-day dining, basic minimalistic kind of facilities, and leave the food and beverage experiences maybe to an outsourced caterer, or let them walk out to a downtown hotel. I mean, there are so many standalone restaurants and coffee shops all across the place. So why do you want to invest in expensive facilities and things like that? Give them what they really need and concentrate. It should be accommodation host guest. That means the lodging guest centric concept. Okay, so we tweaked it, and then the success was when we submitted this to the client, the feasibility report, viability report, what we call the detailed project report, and the public sector bank, a leading bank in India, went through it, accepted it, and gave them the funds. So that was another success story. Yeah, I must say, Julie, that's another very interesting question, and which is very relevant. So, what are the challenges of the industry today in India? At the macro level, hospitality industry is an integral part of tourism and travel trade. However, having been exposed to overseas destinations where those countries are well versed in tourism and frontier tourism states, I have learned a lot, not just only at the hotel and company level, but at the government level. How do these governments of these countries prioritize in tourism, travel trade and services sector? They give very high priority to the extent that this particular sector becomes a serious player in terms of economic contributed to the economy. In India, tourism actually, travel trade together contributes about 10% of the GDP. However, it's a large country. Tourism necessarily is not occupying, the mind space of the top leaders of this country, whether it's a central government or the state government. Because there are so many other sectors which are priority sectors for the government. So the first thing that they should do is to actually understand the potential of tourism. So I have written on behalf of the TURNSTONE Hospitality, along with my partners Manish Jain, Shishir Mathur and Shivdas, we had developed a concept called business hotels, smart city business hotels, smart business hotels in cities. This concept, we actually developed a presentation and I sent it to the Prime Minister's office and also the Tourism Minister's office in the central government, as well as to certain governments of the states. The whole basis of this conference, we took a lot of cue and research from China, which had become a developed economy. What did they do in terms of hotel industry, tourism industry? There's a lot of lessons to learn from them. Because the size is more or less similar, much larger country China is. So if you look at the comparison in the statistics and data, we are nowhere near where China has reached in terms of infrastructure for hospitality. We could be maybe not even less than half the things that the China had done. So the recommendation was that how about truncating business hotels? See, business hotels in the city, whether it's all the metro cities in India or the tier 1, tier 2 cities, they are very different segment to leisure hotels. So we need to segregate that. So therefore, business hotels constitute in fact the mainstay of hotels in India in terms of international travel. We have more and more business travelers and investors and entrepreneurs coming into India, corporate leaders coming into India than foreign tourists. In that sense, I'm talking from the developed world, the Western Hemisphere, correct? They all come and stay in this international gateway cities of India, large, major international and national major domestic brands hotels, right? So they are large business. So this business hotels contribute substantially to the annual total gross revenue of hotel industry. So, however, therefore, they don't come under the tourism. The issue about infrastructure status for hotel industry is all about how the central government and the state governments convince the large masses. How do they address in terms of an electoral message that okay, we are now going to actually support the tourism industry. It's a hot potato because tourism industry is still considered to be a rich man's sector. It is meant for affluent society. Therefore, it's not necessarily politically prudent for the political leaders of a country to actually accord beyond a certain level status and priority and benefits to the tourism industry. Having said that, so this concept that I have developed talks about identifying business hotels which are infrastructure, integral part of infrastructure for the developing economy in India. Segregate them, truncate them, move them out of the tourism ministry and merge them with the infrastructure ministry. So today, we are going to have 40 smart cities. There's a mission for the government of India to develop 40 smart cities and 100 airports. We would be missing the bus if we do not include business hotels to be part of this airport railway, road transport, and bus transport. Hotels become an integral part. You travel from A to B point, but where do you stay? You need to have an overnight stay, right? So business hotels become an integral part. Mid-market smart business hotels was the concept that I have actually presented and appealed to the Prime Minister's office, the government of India and state governments to consider segregating them from the tourism ministry and making them part of infrastructure ministry. The moment you actually become part of the infrastructure, India needs another 500,000 mid-market rooms, smart rooms, okay? The statistics today is almost 3 million rooms in the entire country. Only 10% are branded and classified. Do you know that? 90% of them are still in the unorganized sector and family-run business. That's why it is still in the unorganized sector. See, economy can develop only if all this unorganized sector, businesses move on to become organized sector. Then the government also gets the benefit of contribution from the taxes and revenue rates and all the stuff that this industry earns, right? And government must actually mandate that slowly all the hotels which are licensed in the country should be classified. That is one. Secondly, segregate between business hotels and the rest of the hotels. All the other categories of hotels can be segregated, can be under the tourism. But business hotels should have a separate licensing system because that cater to the economy of the country, to the billion frequencies of domestic travel as well as outside travel. So this is one of the main points that I wanted to talk about in this, as part of this, question that you asked, that how do I look at the overall status of the industry and the importance of the hotel industry vis-a-vis the economic development of the country. Well, let me share with you my Sri Lankan experience. I was actually asked to go to Sri Lanka. I was posted there as the General Manager of the TAJ Samudra, as the area GM for Sri Lanka and Maldives, and also was in the board of TAJ Sri Lanka. The cultural nuances that one has to embrace when you are actually posted overseas as an Indian expat, it's huge. Yeah, you have to, especially in friendly countries like Sri Lanka, which look up to India, right? So when I landed there in Sri Lanka, the first, few things that I decided that I must do is first learn the language, understand read about Sri Lanka, their history, their culture, their food, their religion, and also what are the sensibilities and sensitivities of the community, different sections of the community, how is the political atmosphere in the country. So you have to actually learn everything. You cannot be in a cocoon only just managing a hotel. You are now representing your country. You're not just representing your group, you're representing your country. And you're a public figure as the general manager of a large luxury hotel like the TAJ Samudra, which is an iconic hotel in Sri Lanka, and tourism being a mainstay in Sri Lanka. So it's a large business, right? So you are very well known, you're recognized, and everything that you do, speak, act, and who the company that you keep, all that is actually either reported in the press or this thing. So you are visible. Therefore, you have to understand that you have to immerse yourself. There's an immersion process. You have to immerse with the society, with the community, because your staff, 90% of the staff at the TAJ Samudra or TAJ hotels are local Sri Lankans, right? So, even though we are more or less the same Asian community, there is a certain sensitivity, there is a certain culture, immersion that you have to go through. I used to go down to the dining room to have food with them. Right from day one, I went and visited every single department of the hotel, and I tried to appreciate and learn few words in Sinhalese, Tamil, and English, of course, they speak English very well. So language is a powerful medium of communication. Then I used to actually embrace and read about Buddhism, and I used to go to those monasteries and appreciate and engage with the priests and understand how it impacts the society there. Then about the food. So you see, in many ways, at the same time, you also create your identify. You retain your identity as an Indian. You also give the best of India to the local, forums and trade organizations and social medium, social gatherings in the evenings. Everywhere you talk positive. You be very careful and be complimentary about what's happening there. Take care to ensure that you don't get into the local politics. You don't make comments about what is happening in the country. You also try and see how you can be facilitating, helpful, and create a legacy, right? So I was extremely friendly with the media there. So they embraced me. And I could communicate. So therefore, they really covered me of my journey from day one to my 4 years in Sri Lanka. And I'm associated with the successful turnaround of the TAJ Samudra. When I had gone there, it was actually ranking at 5 to 6 level. And then by the time I finished my assignment in 2001, it actually almost matched up to the Hilton. And I was very happy, honored to be a member of the Prime Minister's Council there in tourism. And not only that, right from Mr. Ratan Tata to late Mr. Krishna Kumar, they were extremely happy with what me and my team did in actually literally saving the TAJ Samudra from the various challenges, financial, business challenges that beautiful hotel went through, and which was such a big burden for the Indian Hotels Company. So in that sense, I was in the process. I learned a lot. I became a new person because I realized, from the edge of the cliff, where if I had slipped, I would have fallen off the guard thing, and my career would have been a different one. But I took it with determination. I learned what it takes to turn around. So I became a turnaround specialist. That's where I became a turnaround specialist. I was not conscious about it, but I did everything to ensure that every single nuances, every single department, are impacted. I also had the chance to be very close to all the cricketing teams, because the Asian Cup was being held there. It was all in TAJ Samudra. So all the 7 countries, cricketing playing nations were staying in my hotel. So I had the chance to, be friendly with and associate and build friendship with Sachin Tendulkar, Saurav Ganguly, Kumble, whole lot of them, everybody. And also with celebrities like the legendary Amitabh Bachchan. When he came to TAJ Samudra, I had the chance to go to the gym with him, so is the way the political leaders, and the SARC was held there. So all the 7 heads of state and government were staying in TAJ Samudra during the time when I was the general manager. So what more could you ask for in life from the Taj? I had this golden career and journey with this noble house. Well, this came in as a God-given opportunity. I was not expecting it. I, in fact, got the extension when I was due to retire to continue as a CEO of Gateway Hotels, and I was sitting cozily in my corporate office in Oxford House, right behind the Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai. One afternoon, when I got this call from the chairman himself, the chairman of the group, Mr. Ratan Tata, and the Vice Chairman of Indian Hotels Company, late Mr. R K Krishna Kumar. The rest is history. They summoned me and gave me a brief and said, listen, you are chosen, given your background of exposure to the mid-market hotels and the kind of specialization that you've done and exposure and the years of service with the company, we want to retain you and get you on board of the Roots Corporation as the CEO and Managing Director of the Ginger Hotels. I waited for a moment and was, introspecting, just give few seconds to think over. So late Mr. Krishnamurthy turned around and said, what is there to think? Just go there and take charge, like a dutiful soldier of the Tata Group. And so did I do. I went over, gave up everything. I said, so now I started off at the Taj luxury. Now my final years of a long career with the Tata Group, I am now going to be in the youngest brand of the group, Taj, the ginger. So it was in trouble. When I walked into the Vikhroli office, the corporate office of Ginger, I was given the brief by the MD of the company at that time, and he says, Ginger was actually at a stage 11 years of operation with a certain investment, substantial investment by Tata Capital, and accumulated losses of certain level. And I was told, listen, you have this period, 1 year, and you have to actually turn this around and make it into a profitable venture, right? So I took it as a mission. Unless you do it with a missionary zeal, and I told my family, who already anyway had given up on my quality time with them, though I managed to maintain that for a long time. My daughters are now in the colleges, and my wife being fully engaged in social volunteerism, realized that okay, he has another mission to do with the Tata. So I went over, and 24/7 I stayed very close to the head office, and I decided, okay, let me do my final act. So there were already 20 odd hotels existing in different parts of the country, right from Assam, Agartala to Trivandrum, and the other way around, north to south. So my first job was, okay, let me get back into being a general manager. Let me get back into operations. So I spent time in every single Ginger hotels, and I entered every single Ginger hotel unannounced from the back end. See, because as a doctor, as a turnaround specialist, as somebody who wants to transform it, you need to understand what is the current status. You have to understand what are the challenges? Where are the challenges? So I found that the challenges are there hugely in the operational area, because operations of the hotels, the operational side was largely neglected. It was more, actually a concept that talked about command and control. It was driven by technology. TCS was, of course, the software masters of this particular brand, and the corporate office decided command and control. The prices. So the unit was actually just headed by a junior manager of a hotel with very limited staff, largely outsourced. So there were huge challenges in every single hotel. So I decided that I'll go and stay in every single hotel. Every single hotel I stayed and corrected all the basics. The basics: hygiene, safety, discipline, skill level, training, processes, systems, policies. And then what I did? Much to the irritation and discomfort of my leadership team sitting in Ginger. Today some of them are my partners in the consultancy. But at that point of time, I was doing a lot of troubleshooting. I disturbed the whole status quo among the leadership of the Ginger company, and I called up every single one of them, whether it's a financial manager, the head of finance, the CFO, or the business development manager, or the marketing manager, or the operations head who was sitting in Vikhroli, who was an on-time colleague of mine, and addressed all the challenges that this poor unit manager was facing. So I spoke on behalf of them with a speakerphone from the Ginger Hotel, and listen, what are you doing about all this? It's all right for us to sit in an ivory tower at the Ginger headquarters and expect this unit manager to produce magic. It will not happen unless he is wholly supported, because it's a command and control system, right? And understand the nuances of its operation of a Ginger hotel. See, Ginger, whatever one did, the Tata Group, many of them identified Ginger still with the Taj. So the expectations were very high. And also it is a concept that was too early in its time, an avatar, for India. because everybody expected the baggage to be carried to the room. Everyone, all the guests expected a room service. All the guests expected a bigger room and all that. But over a period of time, we managed to get the market accept the fact that, this is like how you go to Europe. When you go to Europe, you have a small sized room, 180 square feet or 200 square feet room, but it has to be design centric. It has to be sensorial. It doesn't have to be expensive and luxurious. It has to be sensorial. It has to be sparkling clean, hygienic, and smart. Efficiency wise, the technology that you deploy should be as good as the technology that you deploy in a luxury hotel. So, design, technology, hygiene, sensorial aspects. So, it's like actually flying a small aircraft, correct? So, you cannot actually detach yourself or remove those expectations of the guests. These are all entry-level management trainees and executives in any organization who come and stay in these hotels. Their per diems are limited. It could be in the range of 2,000 rupees or 1,500 rupees a day. However, their aspirations are different. And they come from middle-class families. And when they come and stay in a Ginger hotel, they expect it to be of a certain caliber or certain standards because it's a Tata venture. So I brought about all those transformations and I attacked every single outsourced caterer who was running the ADR, the breakfast room. It was a bed and breakfast thing. I completely changed the entire thing, concept about food and beverage within the limitations of my role as a MD and CEO, though the board at that point of time, ventured out on this brand only because of the group chairman, Mr. Ratan Tata's, dream of creating a brand of hotels that are affordable, like Nano. So, however, the many of them were from the TAJ, so their whole approach was very different. This was an isolated brand. I did a lot of campaign within the company to ensure that Ginger is also accepted along with the brand architecture of the Indian Hotels Company, the Taj, the Vivanta, the Gateway. However, at that point of time, it was very different philosophy and policy. But I'm very happy to say that the brand Ginger, the name itself is so exotic, so lovable, gingerful, I would say. So it became an imagination for whole of India. I was very active in the media. I dreamt of opening up 100 hotels. At that time it was only 25 to 30. But my time was limited. I was, given this tenure of 1 or 2 years as MD and CEO. But I'm very happy to tell you that from a lost case, Ginger actually became a power to reckon with. It actually represented the new India. It actually represented the aspirations of a economy mid-size brand. And I'm so happy to know that the current leadership in the Indian Hotels Company has embraced Ginger, has found Ginger to be the future of India in terms of smart hotels across the 100 cities that are coming up. So it's like, and today the world will also embrace and accepted the new concepts like Marriott's Moxie, this mobile city hotel in Dubai. So, it is all going to be full of hotels that are affordable, investment friendly, healthy return on investment, at the same time also efficient, tech driven, and smart. That's what the new generation expect. They want unobtrusive service. They want lodging space to be, basic thing. Sleep quality should be good. Hygienic. Just a breakfast is more than enough. But anything that works, anything that you actually feature in a Ginger hotel has to be super efficient. It has to be very high design centric. Has to be smart, has to be sensorial, and has to be bright and high energy. So that's the image of a Ginger, which I'm so happy that I contributed my best at that point of time. Well, it was my good fortune, in a sense, that I had the chance to participate in many community building activities, social responsibilities within the Tata Group and TAJ. So, well, I think I also had this access to learning about reaching, volunteerism, outreach, and all that, even from my wife, Geeta, who is a lifetime social activist, and she has her own NGOs. So during different decades of my service with the TAJ and Tata Group, wherever I was posted, I also made it a point to actually reach out to the communities and sensitize our staff and team to do a lot beyond the workplace and adopt campaigns like cleaning, transformation, orphanage, going and spending a day with them, reaching out with food and different supplies and whatever they needed in hospitals. So in a sense, actually, I was an integral part of the Tata Relief Committee for some time. And then this tsunami happened all of a sudden, as all of us know. And then the Tata Group, right up from the chairman's office, identified me as the go-to man. And suddenly, in the midst of my preparations for the Christmas and New Year celebrations for the Taj Coromandel, here comes a call from my vice chairman, Mr. Krishna Kumar, when I was in the car. He just called me up and said, "Where are you and what are you doing? There's an emergency. The Tatas are getting involved through the Tata Relief Committee to reach out to the Nagapattinam, the worst affected district in Tamil Nadu. So get yourself into a different mode. Cancel all the celebrations and functions of the Taj Coromandel, mobilize the entire staff and set up an office and start preparing and planning for a short-term relief measures as much as a long-term planning." So immediately within an hour, we set up a Tata Relief Committee office in the Taj Coromandel, and by then lots of communication, calls, all that is happening, because at the power of the Tata Group, right from the chairman's office, the entire Tata Group actually mobilized themselves. Remarkable. I mean, it was such a amazing experience for me to realize the power of the Tata Group, that they want to come to the help of the nation, to help the community in times of crisis like this. So within by evening, from 2 o'clock, I got this message, and by 6, the entire Tata missionary reached out to my office and said, each one of them was flying down voluntary groups to the Taj Coromandel, because we were now getting ready about nearly 100 trucks of relief material, both in terms of edible food, raw materials, as well as relief material for the affected entire district community, along with so many other organizations that actually headed for Nagapattinam. So here was, within hours, I was actually into this relief committee gear and heading the long convoy of trucks that were carrying relief in terms of food, raw materials, and also whole lot of things, whatever possible items and aspects that you can take care of. And with 25,000 executives, associates were mobilized from the entire Tata Group, and they were all coming down to Chennai or directly to Nagapattinam in by different transport modes. Many of them actually came by train and buses and flights and all that. So I was so much an integral part of that whole Tata Relief Committee. It was an opportunity for me to go to the epicenter of tsunami. Imagine, Nagapattinam was the worst affected. When I went there, when I reached Nagapattinam early in the morning, somewhere around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, it was a ghost town. I could not believe the sight, There were these huge Fishing boats, mechanized fishing boats, can you imagine? They were all tossed up, and they were right in the, in the hinterland, land, near the municipal offices and houses, they were just tossed up. The kind of devastation that was created by this surging tsunami water was just unbelievable. It was a sea of destruction. And then by the time we reached there, there was a lot of, the floods have receded, the water has receded, and we saw dead bodies. We saw of both human beings and animals, and it was just a unbearable sight. But I realized that we as the relief committee task force to gather the courage and the energy and the will to start somewhere. And there was, India is a great country. There are so many organizations and so many of the villagers and panchayats and communities, everybody was around there. So under the direction of the district magistrate and the collector and government officials, we were all, and they knew that we had already communicated to them that the large force from the Tata group are coming with a lot of relief supplies. So the Tata Relief Committee in that sense was highly respected, recognized, and so therefore we were already given a certain area to get in and do the relief activities. So we divided ourselves. That is also a call for leadership. So a couple of us who actually got into this leadership role I remember a colleague from Tata Steel, then Tata Motors, TCS, Indian Hotels Company, whole lot of Tata companies, and especially those companies which are located in Tamil Nadu itself. They could galvanize a whole lot of people, family, friends, everybody came as a volunteer, and we didn't know how long we were going to be there. But our mission was to ensure that all the survivors who are rehabilitated in the refugee camps and schools and colleges and temples and churches and everywhere were first of all provided with relief material, relief food. And relief food meant actually raw material. It could be rice and dal and and sugar and oil and all that thing that is required for them to help to cook them. We created community kitchens, ensured that they were fed, and the children and the senior citizens were taken care of. A lot of emergency hospitals were set up. It was a sea of people, able-bodied people who are actually now looking after the people who are affected. It was something of a lifetime experience for me. So the short-term relief was actually to keep searching for villages, and because it was devastation. These trucks were fanning out to so many different villages, but the dignity of the people was such that nobody there came running after the truck or grabbed anything. They were all so dignified, even in an hour of crisis, when in such devastation. These poor people, fishermen, especially belonging to the fishing community, a lot of them, and the laborers, and underprivileged section of the society, they had a lot of dignity, they had a lot of discipline, and they were so grateful for all that the entire system in India was reaching out to them. So it was a humbling experience for me. And I decided, okay, this is another opportunity for me to reach out to my country, my people, and see what best I could do. And there was this huge organization group, an industrial house standing behind us, saying that listen, every possible resource will be provided. All it needs is your empathy, your commitment, your energy, your sleepless nights to ensure that these people get relief for the next few days. So that first week we stayed back in Nagapattinam. It has been recorded by Reader's Digest, by the way, this article, and almost for 2-3 hours we slept. That's it, in relief camps, in small places where the government also gave us some spaces to rest and settle down. But early morning, 3 o'clock to about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night, we were in many camps, and then go back to this our centers and sit till 2 o'clock to planning for what to be done the next day. because there are so many requirements, not only just about food and shelter, it's also about medical supplies. It is also about logistics. It's also about missing people. You know, we had to help the government to do a census of how many people, and then also about, the last rites of many people. We went to the church, we went to the temples, we went to community centers, we went to fishing associations to help them identify. And these are all not easy times. You know, these are deaths, people or family members, and livelihood earners. So my whole life changed. I realized that what it takes to actually go through this kind of unexpected. Just imagine they were all sleeping in the night when this huge ocean just swept them, across from the sea. Then we also got involved in long-term planning. The Tata Group, the chairman himself, he was so empathetic, so kind, so sensitive about the faraway place. But I said that whatever the Tata Group could do in terms of a long-term solution for them, we will do it. So within the moment it comes from the chairman's office, then things work much faster, right? So we identified the architects who could actually design and develop a earthquake-proof, tsunami-proof housing. Can you imagine? The Tata Group, the Tata Relief Committee developed a concept within a week on how to build 1,000 houses. 1,000 houses at a cost of 1 lakh rupees a house, and give it free. This will be offered to the most deserving, and with the help of the government, identify deserving community people, members of the fishing community who are the worst affected. Alongside so many other organizations who also got into housing development, we decided and committed for 1,000 houses, and we built them, within a matter of 6 months to 1 year. So that was a long-term commitment. So during this long association, for a year-long association with this particular Tata Relief Committee, when of course I got back into the Taj Coromandel within about a month and started getting back into my daily work, operating the hotel, managing the hotel. But the hours each day we devoted with the Tata Relief Committee office in Taj Coromandel on how to actually plan, design and develop this whole project, about 1,000 houses for these people, and so it was a great experience. So in the process, I learned what it takes to actually do disaster relief. So disaster relief was it's a different ball game altogether. So from then onwards, my whole outlook towards life changed. I said it's not just only about corporate life in terms of profitability, balance sheet, bottom line, top line, revenue, managing of people or processes, design, and networking and social life. It's also about playing a responsible corporate citizen's role in reaching out to communities who are in need. So from then onwards, I became a lot more sensitized myself to initiating a lot of different other corporate social responsibility initiatives. Like in Taj Coromandel, immediately after that, a year later, just after this whole sensitization of the tsunami, we created a initiative, a program for self-help groups among women. It became a very big movement in Chennai, where self-help group women, for example, we were buying a substantial quantity of seafood for all the 5-6 Taj hotels in Chennai. Of course, later on I ensured that the entire industry in Chennai, goes along with what we did in Taj initially. Identify the self-help groups and cut the middlemen and reached out to them directly. So they were the fishing folk. So they brought in the fish and they got it directly supplied to our hotels. So they actually benefited by by the price that we are paying, which obviously included those margins that were enjoyed by the middlemen. So similarly, we extended the same thing under the great late Swaminathan. We went and met him, and he talked about how about extending the same thing for agriculture produce. So we actually extended the same thing for agriculture, vegetables and eggs and milk and all that stuff. So this is another important role that I played. Apart from this, I also set up teams from various departments of the hotel, not just Taj Coromandel, but also from Taj Connemara, Fisherman's Cove, whole lot of whatever hotels were there in Tamil Nadu. We created a task force to reach out to helping in education, primary schools. Any one of us can go over and take classes for the primary schools on civil rights and the whole lot of things, basic responsibility of a citizen, language training, whole lot of things, whatever the school required. And even also extended up to supporting them on desk, for the children, for the benches, blackboards, then a whole lot of basic amenities are required for the toilets. So that was another move that I was involved in. So my life changed after tsunami, to put it shortly. Since then, I have been devoting a lot of my time every year to some mission that would actually make a difference to the underprivileged society. Our dream on TURNSTONE Hospitality reflects on its own name. The name TURNSTONE means the cornerstone, and the word turn came around from my own reputation and image, or I'm known as the turnaround man, turnaround specialist. And I always was fascinated with that word, turnaround leadership, turnaround specialization. And by accident, I found myself actually in a turnaround role in many of my assignments beyond the gateway as GM. When I went to Taj Kerala, it was a turnaround assignment. When I was posted in New York at the Lexington Hotel, it was again a turnaround for a period of time before we actually decided to disinvest in the US and then bought the other properties. Then I was assigned this job in Taj Lanka, which was a complete turnaround, total full-fledged turnaround management of the Taj Samudra. Later on, it was also the Taj Westin, Taj Coromandel. So in a sense, turnaround actually in a way is also equal to the role of a doctor in transformation of his patients, right? Making sure that whoever comes to him go back better in health. So that's what we are talking about, the health of the business, health of the assets, health of the brand, health of the people. That's what my concern, So I've been living and breathing and talking and dreaming of turnaround management in my career. So in TURNSTONE Hospitality, we have 4 partners, right? So these partners are masters of their art, their subject matter. Amanish Jain has been a CFO and finance expert in the hospitality industry. He's worked in Taj and Marriott's and a whole lot of other companies. Then comes Shishir Mathur, who was with the Ginger as a business development head, and earlier to that he was also in the operations in South. So he actually comes with a lot of strategic and marketing ability apart from business development. Then comes Shiv Das, who has worked all his life in the Taj and Tata's, associated with IT, technology. So within the 4 of us, we bring to the table a lot of expertise. So our dream is that we will now focus on, first of all, we'll build a reputation for being totally credible, trustworthy, personally involved, and very, very keenly committed to follow-ups and engagement with all our clients. So in case every time we get a new client, we tap ourselves and say, listen, we also have existing clients. So we ensure that the customers, the clients that we have are never forgotten, they never diminish in value when we get a new account. That's one part. So that's a philosophy. The philosophy of being credible. We want to be known, remembered, and respected for our credibility. That's important. That means anything that we do for a client will be authentic, credible. Whether it's numbers, whether it's concept, whether it's about the insights, whether it's about the consulting, advice, prediction that we do, even the predictions. I keep pushing my partners to say that, listen, I'm very fascinated with a word called predictive analysis, which has now become a buzzword across the whole corporate world in India, in the world. So how do we predict that this particular project actually will become successful, and within the first few years you will get your return on investment, it should be cash positive. So I'm very hard on myself and also with my partners. So are they. So but we respect each other in terms of our creativity. We are equal partners in this whole thing. So our dream is to ensure that we become the masters and the best known for viability and feasibility report, which banks call detailed project report. We have now reached a stage of exceptional accuracy and uniqueness. So we have developed our own way of successfully finishing within 4 weeks feasibility reports and viability reports, and most of our feasibility and viability reports have been extremely bespoke, tailor-made for the clients. So they were very happy with us, and we engage ourselves very closely. Then turnaround management of hotels. That is another thing. Any issues either the business faces or operations faces or the brand faces. Challenges, downtime, profitability, loss-making organizations, issues with people. I am an expert at that. So I want to specialize in that and be known as a turnaround specialist in India hospitality space. And the third is transactions, buy, sell. Shishir Mathur, Manish Jain, they're pretty much experts and specialists in bringing about successful transactional businesses. When India is actually becoming a hot spot for a lot of transactions that are happening. The world is coming to invest in acquiring new properties, acquiring existing businesses, merger and acquisitions, or even greenfield projects or brownfield projects. So in all these 3 verticals, we want to be the best in India. And I hope we will.